a day in the neighborhood. Absolutely.
Miss
We're
Terri,
back.
we
Oh
have
my
missed you.
gosh. Hi, look at that. My gosh, he's got me some hot apple cider
I was gonna
too.
say
That's right.
podcast
Thank
and a
you.
cider.
That's right. Good deal. Thank you.
Well, it's been so I the last episode I did, I kind of gave an update so everyone kind of knows that you're done with the surgery and that you're very, very uncomplicated with the recovery. Just at the time, it was very painful. So, how are you feeling?
Well, I'm doing better. For the first time in 8 weeks, my hips are acting a little bit decent. I'm
Yay!
excited. I guess they know that I have another appointment on Friday.
They're trying to act
They're,
right.
they're trying to behave, I
They
guess.
saw what happened to the shoulder. They're like, we gotta
Yeah.
lock in.
I am doing better. It's kind of funny to say this, but the other problems that I discovered with sciatica and all that fun stuff actually helped take my mind away from the real problem, which was the shoulder replacement.
I don't know if that's good or bad. That sounds horrible.
So for the good, the bad, and the ugly, now I can get to back to the pain of that.
God. So what does that feel like? Like I'm curious because as you know, I've had surgeries, but never the worst thing I ever had was that bone graft in my hip, which is different
Well,
because you have this
yeah.
is rotary motion. Like,
Well, the thing about it is because they did a lot of cutting. They had to cut the tendons, and they cut through the nerves, and which is why my hand is still a little tingly. So the recovery is a little bit longer in a way, but it's easier. Now I know that sounds strange, but I'm not even going to start physical therapy until 12 weeks, and so I can do this. See, I'm waving. Hello. But I
and
can't reach behind me, and I can't reach above my head, and I can't reach over my head. You know what I mean?
so
Like,
it's kind of close.
so it's like this.
Oh, got you.
So I'm making a lot of great
You got the
progress.
John McCain.
I'll tell you, I was walking around as if I was, either a zombie or something else. I don't know what it was for a while between the limping and the slow step and then leaning. But answering your question is just tight. It's a little numb still. It's going to take its time. I'm going to do home therapy so that I don't risk damaging it more because they did so much work. They don't want physical therapists messing with it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just going to get there at whatever degree it needs to be, whatever
Well,
time.
so maybe if this is TMI, then we can cut it. But you and Brian have unlocked a new like relationship goals thing for me because I don't remember why I was over there. I don't think it was the surgery. It was before. It was like a week or so before. And I get over there and you're like, "Oh, you're early." We're like my husband just drew me a bath and you've got wine glasses ready. And like y'all just go take a like I want that in my life so much. And so that was just so cute. And then to just watch y'all as as he was it's I've enjoyed getting to know y'all a little bit more. I know that sounds weird because I know y'all, but I don't know. It was just very, very cute, and I love.
And I understand. Thank you. That's very kind of you. And what I want to say to any of the listeners and any of the viewers, and then those that are listening to us, you've got to keep your relationship at the front of the line.
Mm,
It doesn't mean it's the only thing at the front of the line. It just means it's at the front of the line.
mm,
And when your relationship is at the front of the line, when you're with the right person,
mhm,
then everything kind of meshes together. It just
mhm.
makes sense. So no matter how much, I think the world of you and love you to pieces, I said that we're going to take a bath
Yes.
and then we'll be back.
And I loved just like you were in the kitchen. Oh, we were cooking, and so you were finishing up something, and so in the interim of that, he must have gone drawn the bath, and then you're kind of just waiting for it to get manageable in temperature. So there's just something enchanting of like, yeah, we're cooking together, but like pause. I'm gonna go set this up, then come back and finish cooking with you, and then we're gonna get some wine, and then I just love that. Like to me, that's just cool.
I love that. Now, for all of those people that are wondering if I do this with everybody, now if the UPS man comes to the door, I'm not going to say, "Listen, I'm drawing a bath. You're going to have to bring this later." But your family, and so it was more like, "Okay, we'll see you in a little bit, my dear."
And there was something a little bit more I don't know, like I don't know if it's sacred is the word, but it was so funny because I don't know if you remember this, but then either I wake up um Taylor or he comes in the room, something happens. So we just start gabbing and he's distracted because he's kind of fiending for tobacco. And he kept just saying like I'm gonna ask Brian for his tobacco when he gets out. And so there was something almost of like that y'all were in your own world and inaccessible.
Right.
And I'm excited to see y'all. But he's over here like, I really want to focus on this conversation, but I can't do that until Brian gets out. So it just felt like, I don't know, if there was ever a time where I think that's an important thing. Cause so often, like if you're a people pleaser, like I just loved that. I thought that was so appropriate. And then y'all came back out. We had the whole evening together. I loved
I
that. So
love it too.
anywho.
And that's the way, really, that's the way families hopefully are and should
Mm-hmm.
be, could be.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's the way, if the flowing with the rhythm of it.
Mm.
And seeing it as being worthy of your time, seeing it as being loving, and just it gets a little messy sometimes, right?
Of
It gets a little
course.
messy. And that's what makes family really, really come together, is being able to kind of pause when you need to pause, being able to, come back into this in the arena just like you'd never left.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a solid ground. So thank you for bringing that up. I like that. That makes me happy too.
Good. Well, I've been meaning. I kind of had that thought the other day, and I was like, I need to tell her. And I was asking one of my new coworkers. We were kind of really dead yesterday, and I feel he has a very philosophical soul,
Mhm.
and I think that he finds this existence a little jarring. That's what I sense around him. But there's something I love about his energy. So I was asking him very personal questions. He was letting me about like his relationship, his previous divorce, and like how long it took him to be ready to date again. Cause I just think the way he looks at the world. And it was just fun because there, I've always been trying to act like I knew what I was doing a little bit more because maybe I felt like that made me safe. But the
Mhm.
more I do this, the more I realize I have really glaring anxieties around connection, i.e., like I asked him yesterday, like, how long did it take for you guys to cohabitate? And how do you deal with it when you need space? Because I did not realize until recently, I think I have a huge fear of that. Like I've lived alone so long.
I totally understand that.
How do I do that? And then for him to be so honest, because he was basically like, not only was I not ready, I was like overly not ready. And, we knew each other for a really long time. So then, I didn't say this to him and he doesn't know. I mean, he doesn't listen to it, but to where it made me wonder if that's the avenue my energy might have to do because I have too many hangups on the beginning stages of getting to know people. And then I find very quickly I start playing games. And you've
Games of
told me a
protection.
hundred times,
It's self-protecting, protection. That's what that's about.
but
You're
it
trying
doesn't do
to
any
either
good.
self-sabotage
Yeah.
or, you know, realistically, when you meet the right person, it does change the game. Because when you meet the right person, and I mean that from a very healthy standpoint, I
Mhm.
know there are those out there, because I have some as clients, that become overly obsessed about a relationship. So everyone is the one. But
I'm
what
there
I'm really
sometimes.
driving at, right, is that when you meet someone that is truly going to be your other authentic self, your partner in your relationship, then you realize that some of the fears that had been presented in other relationships
Mhm.
don't really come through to that degree. You may still feel, oh gosh, I'm gonna, gonna miss my privacy, or now I'm gonna have to talk to someone 24/7. But those are very subtle compared to what they would be in a relationship
Mm.
that's not really meant for you.
Dang, okay, that just hit home somehow. Okay, I see what you're saying. It's like there is a frequency where someone being in your space wouldn't be like overwhelming.
There is. And when I hear clients say that too, when people will say, "Oh, I'm dating this guy, but he makes me so anxious. Sometimes I just want to go home and, kind of shut myself away."
Yeah, and I know what you say to them.
And it sounds like it's probably not the right relationship. Or it's not time for that relationship to be here.
Man.
Because if you're going to resist it and fight it to that level, there's a reason. We know we're very, very intelligent beings. We're very intuitive beings as a society. If we utilize it, we have all the skill sets. We all
Mhm.
have them. And when we feel that there's a pressure, or we feel that something's not correct, likely it's true. Likely and
Mhm.
it may still be within us that we've got a phobia or a fear set about a relationship. But it also is very likely that the relationship that you're troubled by isn't the right one for you.
Mhm.
And how else is the message going to get across, right?
Oh my God, you're touching on something that is larger than relationships, even though I know all of our clients and me, we do want that. We crave it sometimes. But, in that sort of experience I had a couple weeks ago, there it felt almost like the anxiety of it all fell away. So I feel like I'm approaching the topic a little bit more humbly because I'm not afraid. There's no anxiety, so there's no fear. So then I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Tell me. I'm starting to notice like I should be watching other people and kind of learning and gleaning because what do I do best? I can connect with energy. So if I watch a couple and just connect to their energy, I might learn more than me banging my head against the wall on Hinge or Tinder, you know what I mean? And kind of just
Absolutely.
relaxing because there is that.
There is that. And, and that was beautifully said, because there is really something to be gained by observation. Now, we recognize, though, that not everything we're observing we want to take on as our
Mm-hmm.
own, because there's a lot of trouble out there. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of very bad relationships. But I understand it kind of resonated with me when you said the observation gives you information, because that's exactly what I've done my entire life. Growing up, living under a bed, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of under a rock, I lived under a bed, right? Well,
Oh,
under a rock too, probably. Almost, anyway. Maybe not so figuratively.
well, if you read the book,
Yeah,
a
I mean,
lot of
I'm grateful to
buggies.
be alive. But I had to spend that quality time looking for what people did. I had to see what normal people did. I had to know what normal people behaved like. How did they
Mm-hmm.
react? What made them tick? What made them happy? What made them sad? What was normal and what was abnormal?
Mm-hmm.
And so the best teachers are really the external voices around you that, again, you have to sort them out. You don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
hook up the wrong energy and go, those are my people. They're all nuts.
It's
But you do recognize that you get your best information and sometimes validation by observation, by watching others behave.
when it was last Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, you were so sick, but remember we were at Nick and Sam's, I believe.
Yes, that's right. I remember
And
that. Yes.
you and I had this sidebar because we do what we do and we're nerds. And there was
Yeah,
that
I
mom
love
and
it.
daughter. And before you know
Yes.
it, we're just checking in to see like, we're just like, well, they're in a fight. The daughter doesn't like the mom. Like, we're just deconstruct. And to me, it's like, I want to do that more and connect just if I can get interject permission, I'm not going to be weird with it. If I'm like at a bar by myself, working on something, I'm going to start looking and seeing like, what about their connection? Like, what does that feel like to them?
Right.
And just kind of check in, see what that feel like. Because when I try to feel it, it comes with all of my thought forms around what it should be. And that
Right.
doesn't really matter because I don't know what I'm doing. So for me to think anything should be anything is a little bit unwise.
I'm going
I have an
to,
understanding, but like,
what I want to add to that, interject with, that's when you're dealing with the emotions of self. You're very accurate when you're dealing with other people's emotions. When
mm-hmm.
it's an external force, you've got the A+ on that, right?
Yes.
Because intuitively you're connected to the answers.
Mm.
Just from, I don't even want to say experience, you just know. It's a knowingness that we have when we do this for a living, when we perfect it to the level we can. I mean, nothing is a perfect uh, mix, but what you're experiencing is something of what we call the self-doubt.
Mhm.
It's, I can handle everybody else's problems, great. But when it comes and it gets back to me, then I get a little anxious, and I understand that because I do too. That anxious on, is this good? Is this bad? Is this right? Is this wrong?
Mhm. And maybe even to some degree with the pressure that I have on certain things, like I've just been significantly ever since, what happened, practicing and I don't know how it changed, but I truly do believe this. It's like I say I would like a healthy relationship. I say that I would like friends who match me in ambition and drive and love. Like, and then I'm kind of coming to realize I just have to keep saying that to the universe and then keep moving. Because
Yes.
so for me to kind of be looking at these little sectors of my life, it's not a frantic thing anymore. It almost just feels like I have time. I was having a pity party last week because I was working the two jobs and scheduling's still kind of weird for me. And
Right.
I keep getting anxious. I'm going to miss a job. Right. or I'm going to miss my class because that's every other Wednesday, you know? So it's just like everything's a schedule now.
A lot of balls in the air. Yep. A lot of things to do.
But then, you know, and I know you relate to this because I kept feeling disembodied in time. And I knew it was meant to be that way because I was integrating the understanding of like maybe time doesn't work the way I think it does. So then the next thing I started to feel was this, like, you know, the old me, the pitiful me, which is like, oh my God, you know, I kept saying in my head, I'm just disembodied. I'm so dramatic. I was like, I'm disembodied in time. And I just feel like I live to show up on time. And I was kind of feeling that. And then I was getting a little bit anxious because I was thinking, well, this can't be all it is. So then finally, after a couple of days, I got directed or I learned that it was like, no, no, no. You remember how like you've done this badly before? You've always overworked. Well, like now you look at you, you're managing the schedule. So now you have free time. What are you going to do about the free time? What do I need? Like the schedule's fine. I'm making all my appointments. So then that was a relieving thing too of like, oh shit, like I've got all my clients and they're scheduled. I've got my classes and they're scheduled. My 2 jobs are scheduled. I think I'm going to be okay with that schedule.
Exactly.
And there is free time. Not a lot, but I don't like a lot of free time. So the part I do.
And that makes sense. And you know, I know I'm a little bit of a wiggle worm today.
No, you're good. Well, you
just get situated. I understand exactly what you're saying. You know, I chuckle to myself with my own experience of that for all of my life, it seems like I've always had to either have the right uniform or the right bag. You know, it's like, am I taking the bag that I go to work with? Am I taking the bag that I teach with? Am I taking the bag that I do this class with versus that class with? Am I taking my schedule? That's it comes in, put it in a different bag. You know, and once upon a time, am I going to this job? I'm wearing a shirt that has an emblem on it, or am I going to that job where I need to be dressed up? And cold sweats sometimes in the middle of the night, thinking I'm supposed to be at work and I don't know where.
Because at some point we've pulled the wrong bag and gotten there and been totally screwed. Or we did miss a schedule. Like, so we are very busy. It's not crazy for us to really want to nail those things down because it's so costly to mess up.
It is costly to mess it up and to mix it up. And you know, the thing about it is though, we do, and I love this. And you know, for those out there that are listening to us, you know, we're not looking for perfection. There's no such thing. We're just hoping to get by just like you are most days. But we realize there's a level of understanding and forgiveness when we end up somewhere where we're not where we feel our best.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to give you an example of that, and I'm not. You know, my ego is. Hopefully, my ego is somewhere on the ground here. I've left it somewhere. You know, my first day back to my office, you know, I can't lift my arm, right? So I don't have the ability to really, and, you know, I have real thick, long hair, as everyone that knows me knows, right? I mean, I can't put it in a ponytail on my own because I can't reach up that way. And so I've had to kind of figure out new techniques, right, for this period of time, which is going
Have
to
you
last
tried
me
a
about
clip?
what? Well, you know, I yes and no. I've tried the clips and they hurt my hair. They hurt
Yeah,
my
I
head.
know. Yeah.
But it was so interesting to me because I literally had to go to my office. I did what we call the pressure test, go physically to the office, look at people physically in my office and work in that environment instead of by Zoom, which I did last week. And I had the biggest, you know, for those that have long hair, you understand what I mean. For those that don't, or guys out there that don't have long hair, it was like a rat nest. I had the biggest, hugest pile of entanglement on the back of my head one would ever known to man. I mean, you wouldn't think it would be possible. I couldn't get it out, and I didn't have time because I
Yeah.
had to go to work.
Yep.
So my hair in the back was like this,
We spoke that day.
and it was horrible.
Yeah, I remember you said, I felt,
it was so
yeah.
bad. And
I
again,
wanted to
it's
be
not
in your
really
house that
dropped
moment.
now. Yeah, we did. And I actually got those knots out. And then I'm back to the same thing again. But I had to make peace with it.
Yes.
I had to make peace with the fact that even though no one was really gonna, I mean, people weren't gonna say, oh, look, her hair is so unkempt, you know, we'll never come back and see her again. I felt bad. I felt less than because my gosh, I need to represent something, and all I'm representing is an old woman who's limping and can't reach up above her head to comb her hair.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So we do
totally.
make peace with things that we work on and that we strive for and that we worry about. Like, is it the
Mhm.
right uniform? Is it the right bag? Well, I certainly didn't bring the right hair with me, right?
Well, you've always been very good with keeping a calendar, and I've never done it successfully. And out of nowhere, I'm doing it. And
Love it.
it's on my phone, which I said I would never do that. So I've purchased and never used so many calendars. It's crazy. And out of nowhere, it's like, now I'm realizing this is overwhelming, but it is manageable if I just make sure every small little detail is on my calendar.
It has to be on your calendar. And I love all those folks that use virtual calendars. I envy you actually virtual calendars because for me, my whole life is virtual, right? I'm in
Yeah.
my virtual reality, energy 99% of the time, especially when I'm working. And so for me, I have to have something I can hold on to.
Mhm.
Something it's kind of like the old brick and mortar feel. I've got to have
Totally.
paper in front of me. And so I have until they stop making day planners, I'm going to have a day planner until the end
Yes.
of time.
I wonder for me, I think it's a factor of odd, maybe it's ADHD, laziness, but there's something about, and I've learned this about myself. If it's too far from my body, this is so dumb, but it's so real. Anyone with ADHD knows. If it's too far from my body when I need it, there's a very good chance I'm not going to go get it. So then that just defeats the purpose.
I
Whereas with
love it.
me, I've found if I will do the diligence of putting it in, which now I panically do so because I see the benefit, but like I like because it's on my phone, so it kind of trips out the sometimes I don't wanna see what's on it too. So if
That
there's
makes sense.
distance and a lack of desire to look because 'cause I'm just anxious or I know it's a crazy day, then before you know it, I might fall asleep, I might do something ADD and then not check my schedule, or something dumb. So now I'm like, "Okay, it's on my phone, I can just go make myself look at it," and I've released the need to know. That's the other
I love
thing.
that.
I don't know what I've stopped trying to know what job I work. I wake up that morning, I check my schedule because it was driving me
Makes
crazy.
sense. Makes a lot of sense. And I love that. It's so cute that you said I'm ADHD. And so if it's not near me, I don't want to go get it. Well, I'm going to interject with that and say I'm a little OCD. And so for me, I can't talk myself out of getting it.
Please, can we meet in the middle? Can I have some of you and you have some of me? That would be
I know, 'cause
amazing.
I go the other direction. I'm like, but it's I'll be in the living room at home and I'll go, oh, well, my schedule's in the office. It's in the
That's
office. Oh my
funny.
gosh, it's in the office. Oh my gosh, you gotta go get the schedule out of the office. Where is it? It's in the office. Oh my gosh, why am I in the living room? Oh my gosh, why am I doing this? I need to go get it out of the office.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Wow,
So
that
it's a
is crazy,
difference.
but it's so
Great.
real for
It
both of
is.
us.
It's very real. It's very real.
If that isn't a testament to perspective being reality, I don't know what is.
Yes. So that's and what I love about life and I love about being human and I love about working with people and their personalities is that we realize that some of the things that we see are challenging or weird or odd or something is really just the complexity of life. It's just who we are. It's okay to be that. It's okay to have it on your phone if that works for you. It's okay to have a paper calendar if that works for you. It's okay to do these things. It's okay to be these things.
Mhm.
That's what makes us all very unique and individualistic and then very much, of what we're supposed to be.
Mhm.
So I love this conversation. We never know where we're going with
I
this
do
thing.
too.
And, I'll tell you, I feel a little bit, what's the word for it? Oh gosh, no, I'm not any more pain medicines. So it's not that, but I feel a little bit almost like airy and a little bit like wee this morning.
Too. I feel very free.
I do. Yeah, I do
Good.
too. I have an extremely busy day. This is one of my pressure tests I keep calling. I've got a few of those this week. But I just feel like, it's our choice to have a moment of enlightenment. It's our choice to do whatever it is we need to do. You with your phone, me with my calendar. It's a choice and no one is being harmed or interfered with because of these choices. And so
Mhm.
some things that we do, I tell people all the time, you are your enemy. Don't be
Mhm.
your enemy. Be your ally. Be your ally.
Mhm.
No one can be a better ally than you, and no one can be a better enemy than you.
Oh my god. Well, I was in the class last week. I kinda do the classes like we do this, where I just wait for everyone to get there. I've noticed on the drive, I kinda start getting an idea of what the energy probably will be what we're talking about, but I let everyone give a word, and we put it on the whiteboard, And then what's weird is I stare at the whiteboard and my guides make me pair up messages. So that's been cool because everyone kind of gets their needs met and I can get it kind of all met together because it's all them. I've come to find that I don't even have to, I don't do anything for that class. They do it 100%. But I was talking about, we're kind of, it goes to the point of you will change when you allow yourself to be tired of it. More often than not, like sometimes we change because of ambition and motivation and drive, and sometimes we change because we're just tired of our BS. And I was explaining to them, there was an aha moment years ago in the mirror when I've always been insecure about my arms. I always just feel like they look fat because I developed a lot of muscle on them. So if I'm not real lean, to me they seem fat. So I remember I used to, when I would go out, I would start with an empty floor and then I'd end with a pile of clothes that I tried on but didn't like the way my arms looked. And you can only do that so many times because you have to rehang the clothes. Plus, you're frustrated for the hour and a half you're doing this BS. Right. And finally, there was this moment where I realized you can't change them right now. If you don't like this, that goes into the future. But you've got to release this weirdness around this because this is crazy. You're cleaning your closet out because you don't like, it's weird. It's too much. And I was like, what are we doing? And then that's how now I don't even see my arms in the mirror anymore because I presume they're going to be fine. And if they're not, then I'm probably in the gym already. I don't know what else to say about it,
And again, what's really cool about that is that you had the authority to change, to either disregard or to modify or to correct. And I love that you made that decision that, hey, you know what? This isn't something that I can go and basically bring up and purge away, every day like this. I can't have a stack of clothes. I can't have all these things.
And logically, it's flawed.
Well, logically, it is flawed. And I get that. And I feel that, and I understand that. And, I've gone through things a little bit like that as I've gotten older. When I was your age,
Stop it.
but once upon a time, I would wear whatever I wanted. And if it meant I had 2 Band-Aids instead of a bra, then so be it. Because for whatever,
100%.
Okay. And as I've gotten older and a little bit more of me, I realized that I'm a little bit more shy about that sort of behavior. That I'm a little bit more guarded. And what I recognized, and I've been better at it, is I've recognized I'm the master. I am at the ship's helm. I am the captain of my ship, my vessel. And if I haven't done anything yet to correct it, to modify it, then at least I have to curb the need to basically self-judge.
Self-destroy, I just heard.
Self-destroy. That doesn't mean that I don't feel those emotions.
Of course. It simply means
that I don't act on them as much.
Yes.
And that's where we get stuck. And women tend to do that. I don't want to say more, but I get more of the females telling me.
Yes.
I feel men do it the same, but they don't really want to talk about it.
Oh, interesting.
But when we take authority over the fact that we are, again, once more, the captain of the vessel, of the ship, then we realize that all we're doing is arguing with ourselves. And that's very counterproductive.
Yeah. So okay, I hear you. So you're saying by the end of it all, if you really look at it, it's always you versus you. Because unless someone is in that room telling me my arms are fat, it's still me. Even if that's something from the past. That's a big... Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
I'm going to add one more step to that before we go further into that statement. It doesn't matter if someone's in the room or not.
Thank you. Yep, you're right. Nope. Perfect point.
It makes no difference.
Thank you. Wow. Excellent, excellent
If
point.
you have someone who's judging you that sharply or that harshly, right?
They need to go.
They need to go. Or there needs to be a decision made about it that their statements don't matter to that degree.
Thank you for saying that because that's such a, it's something that like, I literally meant it when I said, if there's someone in the room like that was different. I meant it that was different. And you're so right. It's so not. That's so funny. It's just harder. We'll totally own that. It's a lot harder.
It is harder.
But yeah, no, you're so right. It's like, even if somebody is literally gunning for you, you don't really, you have no responsibility to have a response to that necessarily. Certainly not one that makes you feel bad about yourself.
Exactly. Just
Man.
choose to be kind to yourself as well as others. It says be nice to everybody else. That's great. And that's fine and dandy. And I know somewhere it's written in some important paper, we'll call it that. Be kind to others, right? Be good to others. But there's also a little bit of a point of be kind to yourself. Because if you're self-sabotaging everything you're about, you're probably hypercritical about other people too.
Oh man. I heard that the other day. This podcaster or this comedian was talking about how this one guy has really critical comedy. But then this other guy said, yeah, but he's pretty critical about himself. And I thought that was a unique, of course, that would be the case, as within, so without, right?
Exactly.
Dang.
Again, we recognize, and including ourselves in this mix, that change doesn't come overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. You may know intellectually that something you're doing isn't correct, but the realism is you're going to keep doing it until you're ready to not.
Mhm.
And we just, part of my job is, and I know part of your job is to help people to see that, listen, when you're done with this, which you can be, you need to correct it.
Mhm.
And it may be stemming from someone else's interference. Maybe you are in a bad relationship. Maybe you're in a bad marriage. Maybe you've got a bad roommate, or maybe you've got some difficult relationships in your immediate family, your siblings and your parents. But you're the only one that can really create a different impression of that.
Mhm.
And that's powerful if you think about it. Most people spend their entire life hoping and praying that other people change
Yeah, and and trying to force it
and
sometimes
trying to force
in the
it.
bad faith
But the
actors sometimes.
Exactly, but the realism is that can't be. That's just a lot of disappointment. My gosh, I wouldn't want to have that type of disappointment. I want to be able to do something different in me, and create me, rather than trying to figure out and finagle a way to manipulate someone else.
There's been a profound feeling lately around the idea that's so selfish, but also so only my business, where it's kind of like, I just want to have a good life. I don't need it to have kids. I don't need it to have a partner necessarily. But what I do need, I think, is real connection and the ability to serve because I'm happiest with that. And so then if I know what I need without a bunch of extra labels, I need this man to look like this. I need my kids to be like this. If I just know this is what I want, I want a good life. I need to maintain integrity because I've let that go before. Like there's things that I need to maintain. I truly do feel you're going to not age yourself at the same rate as if you are spending all of your time in the past or the present. Because I think it's something a little bit like astral travel. I think we create time. And so when I sit here and I think about the future and I spend 4 hours not in the moment, not living, but
Right.
having to recreate time here and also time there, I think it's an exhausting thing for the body, just like it's exhausting to go live in the past. So if people don't want to age as much energetically, this is like the physics of metaphysics. I don't really think it helps us to do that. We have to create that energy. We have to sustain the vision of that.
We
So on
do.
top of, well, that's kind of why manifesting is a thing.
Hmm.
That's a little different. But like, all I'm saying is, everyone wants to be young.
Right.
Quit creating extra time for your energy to go live in because it's going to age you.
It will age you. That's exactly right. It's a form of stress, and stress ages us. It just does. Some more than others. Looking at myself going, oh gosh.
Well, when people talk about astral travel,
Mhm.
and we do recognize that their hourglass, so to speak, energetically, is still being acted upon. The
Right.
astral is not a separate place, it's just a separate dimension. It almost feels like, because this is something I keep feeling strongly about, and that's one of the reasons I've stopped doing it as much, because I think there might actually be a literal cost, is that it's like what they kind of showed me is just like windows on a a computer, and once you have too many tabs, everything slows down and it gets really like, that's what your energy is doing when you're constantly living in the future and constantly living in the past.
That's exactly right. There's
Okay,
something
I
about being
wasn't okay. I'm
present-minded.
glad. Okay, I didn't know if that was just something I was being like, if that was, it
I
felt right.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it because it's something that when, like the Wellness Expo, that's coming up this weekend, and one of the talks that I give on Saturdays is about that same type of way. You know, when we get so caught up in our thoughts of the past and the present, we're not living in the now. And the now is where we are. Now, the physical body, you dragged it to the now, you got to have to do something with it.
And now is where we can act. It's the only
Now
place
is
we
where,
can
right.
act.
Exactly. And so it helps people because people don't want to, they just don't want to hear us say, listen, okay, you know, you're living this life today, so live today. They're like, yeah, whatever that means, forget it. But if you give them a task and you say, listen, take 5-10 minutes every day of the week and do something you weren't going to do. Do something positively. Okay. Do something positive. You know, don't go rob a bank. Okay. We're not talking about your life on that level.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do something positive that you wouldn't have done. And the reason why we do that is not only for fulfillment, it's to get you grounded. It's to get you back into where you are in the moment. And that's really what is necessary because as humans, we tend to stuff things. It didn't work out. We stuff it. We have an emotion, but we don't finish the emotion and lay it to rest. We tend to have the emotion, deal with the emotion, and then put it down so that later we can regurgitate it and deal with it even further, which is a real unhealthy thing
If
to
we
do.
even do that.
Right. Well, we deal with it. We may not consciously deal with it.
Well, good point. Yeah.
We deal with it.
It's always nice to say, well, I'm just going to not feel that right now and deal with it later. But we very rarely do we ever go say, hey, tap, tap, pain. Let's go have a chat.
Let's go have a chat. We don't do that. But if we take and we commit to even just 5 or 10 minutes a day of doing something that we wouldn't have done, what it does is it gets us out of that habit. It gets us out of the momentum of the past, the momentum of even the worries of the future, because it makes you be present. They're 10 minutes coloring a picture. People go, what do I do? Which is so much our society, right?
Yes.
We're so hurry, get going, right? And even for those that are not the hurry, get going, then there's those that, you know, that channel surf and they never leave the TV side.
Yeah.
So they still have the same kind of insecurities about, well, what else is there? What else do I do? Because they haven't found that. So just adding 10 minutes a day. And I say, and people will ask me, well, what are you talking about? What would I do in that time? You know, go for a walk, go to the mailbox, and then go back to the mailbox just for the heck of it. You just got in another, 50 steps or so, 100 steps. You know, go look at the squirrels. What do they look like? What color are they? You know, look, there's 3 crows. Is there a 4th one? Go look. So what you're doing is you're stepping into the moment's energy. You're stepping into your power of the moment. And when you do that, you learn to live more in the now. Now, we're always going to be the astral travelers. You know, that's what we do for a living. You know, we're always going to be gone and doing our things and, not necessarily in the present mind, but we land eventually, right?
Yes. But you did it best, and you showed me parts of that when I first got to know you. There were parts of like, I don't relate with the idea of a cruise. I didn't relate with the idea of like really nice dinners. And I didn't, because I guess you're just sometimes in the mindset of like, well, that's a lot of, I don't know, it's all to serve you and it's resources. And in my head, all these things I don't want to do. I don't want to be overly selfish and I don't want to spend money and da da da. And then, to just be like, no, I work like a crazy person. So I go on 4 cruises every year because I want to. Like I'm getting closer to that. And I feel myself getting closer
I love
to,
that.
I had a client, Saturday was the fair over in Bedford. And I was really, trying to show her how to automatic write. I was trying to explain that it's not what she thought. And I was automatic writing and I got savaged, but I let myself because I wanted it to be a true connection and I wanted it to be a true message. But the message was concerning the thing you and I have always talked about, which is what do I do with my free time? Like I'll agonize. And I got the meanest message, but it's so accurate. And then I've thought about it now and I see the truth, but I always have one guide that's very aggressive because I respond well to that and very direct. And then when it gets too much, I have one guide that comes in, it's very, very sweet and very feminine. So this was definitely the masculine, but the message essentially was, it was 2 sentences. I can't remember exactly what they were, but this is tapping into a giant fear that you're not important. Because it's great. I knew it was greater than me just thinking I'm lazy, because I know I'm not. So then it had to be some bigger topic that the fear is hidden behind other things. And now I realize, if that's what's triggering, that makes more sense why I feel so panicky. Because then I'm like, when I was younger, it's like, if you're not really important or doing something of importance or whatever, you're very quick to become I used to call it the dog in the house. So one family member was always the dog in the house. And if you weren't doing good, all the time, you were. So I think I get like that, where I'm like, if I'm not doing extra here, if I'm not doing extra there, I'm losing my ranking. And if my ranking drops too low, I'm gonna be in trouble. And we're gonna find a way to lose our privileges, and we're gonna find a way. So there was always this kind of rat race. Now I just bring that home with myself, and there's no need.
No need.
So it's been nice.
And you know what's it's interesting about it, and I had this conversation with someone over the weekend at the office, was it doesn't matter how old we are. It doesn't matter how old we get. Those are very fresh moments. Those are thoughts that don't age. Those thoughts can follow us through our timeline. They can follow us to our end game. And we need to jump in and manage them. Again, being the captain of the ship. And I understand that. I truly understand what you're saying.
And name them.
I mean, I couldn't sit down with someone else in the room. I had to stand at attention. So I had to be always quick on my feet. And so I've taken that to adulthood. But what I've recognized, and I have to recognize it over and over too, okay? Again, it's not a one and done perfection, right?
No. We had 18 years for this to be done.
I know. Is that you're going to still have those emotions of, oh, am I less than? Or, oh, should I stand up? Or, oh, should I do this or that?
Am I unsafe somehow?
Right. But as you, I don't even want to call it's not about maturity. It's about timeline. It's about having the experience, repeating the experience, defining the experience, and working with the experience to tone it down. I still feel some of that. I still get anxious if I'm not busy. I understand that. We have a lot in common about that. Okay.
It's existential.
Yes.
People don't understand, but it is based in something deeper than just, I'm nervous about being lazy.
Exactly. But what I've come to do, and this might be a wonderful tool for others to hear this and to implement it for themselves, is when I do have downtime, I make it, and this is going to sound bizarre, but I make it my delicious downtime. I make it my decadent downtime. So if I'm going to spend an hour watching TV, I'm going to enjoy it.
I love that.
If I'm going to be home for an hour in the afternoon, I'm going to sit outside, because those are things that bring me that deliciousness, that decadence, that desire, that I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this because I'm bored. I'm doing it because I put this hour in my life so I could serve myself. And that's an important thing. Now, some people get carried away with it. I've had clients too that I listen to, and they're like,
goodness, yeah, the treat yourself ones.
oh my gosh, I've got,
they do be treating.
She's decided that she's going to just live off her retirement at the age of 30 because, which means she hasn't really got anything.
Right.
Because she's going to live life to its fullest moment in every way possible, which sounds really good in theory, right? Oh gosh, yes, you go, girl. Go get yourself a double scoop ice cream. I like it. But what she was actually manifesting was a no life. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to catch up on all my books. I'm going to read. I'm going to watch TV. I'm going to sleep more. And I had to kind of bring her to the reality of where are the other people? Did you forget you don't live on an island?
That has been a thing.
It's a thing.
And I definitely am moving my way out of it a little bit. But there is a dangerousness, I think, to sometimes the delight I can have in my own company. And it's hard, like,
yeah.
And so then I don't want to be a hermit. So I've been good. I'm doing better about really trying to spend the free time. like, let's be smart, trying to do that in a way to where I don't overextend, overinvest in people because I don't have the time for it right now. But that doesn't mean I have to have a lonely existence. I just don't need to go make a bunch of new friends
Right. You don't
right
have the
now,
time to, right, to do it right. And that's why you don't have the time to spend the energy at it.
God, but I'm so thankful that there is a natural urge to the unit. Like, I don't know how to, like, I'm grateful that we do have this like cyclical thing because I do believe that no matter how deep of a rut someone might be in, there are periods of time over a year that might kind of be like jumper cables. And so there is this uplifting vibe sometimes, and you can ride it. And if you respond to it,
Yep.
it's easier to go out and be friendly in that time, in that space, in that jumper cable.
It
And then
is.
if you're still depressed, all last year, I feel like I ran kind of a low grade depression. It wasn't crazy. I wasn't doing anything crazy, but it just was kind of there. And I think remember feeling the waves and denying them for different reasons. Maybe I was overwhelmed, whatever. But I remember thinking I could have jumped that wave if I just had a little bit more sleep, time, energy, whatever it was. And now it's like I promised myself this year. I didn't say I would get rid of the depression, but I think that kind of has dissipated. But I did say I would ride the waves when I felt them. So if I'm tired and burned out, I'm going to be tired and burned out. And if I feel uplifted, I'm going to do everything I can with that energy.
Yes. I
And
love that.
I think it might help.
It's getting to know thy own self.
Man,
It's getting to be a participant in your success.
I'm so here for it.
And I'm not just talking about the success that comes with hard work and earning money and banking it. I'm talking about the true success that comes from understanding and learning and loving self.
And liking yourself and knowing what you need.
Yes.
Because
And
those are the hardest things.
you're right. Yes. And really, I mean, I don't know how to put this in words, but it is such a beautiful, beautiful thing to see when people start finding themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have a very different energy about them. And you realize on their behalf that they have found their authenticity, that they have found it's kind of like their voice, their rhythm, their way. And it is beautiful. And it doesn't happen overnight. Most times it doesn't. I haven't really seen it happen overnight. But I recognize that, that they put work into it, that they have participated.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to use it as a keyword, a tag along word, it's really participation.
I
You know,
love that. I know exactly what you mean.
yes, when we have these emotions, it's just like for me, and I'm sorry I'm so restless,
No, you're good. You're kind of
all these
hurting.
body parts being weird right now. I realized this just being, in the state that I've never in my life, and I mean never. I mean, even when I was 8 and 9, I worked. I mean, I worked always.
Yes.
And worked in the fields, worked in the gardens. That's probably why my shoulder left me. But I never had 3 weeks off. Even on vacation, I've never ever. I mean, I've always worked. Even in between jobs, I would find part-time jobs to work in between full-time job, and I only did that once because I've only had 3 jobs in my life. I know that participation is what we have to participate in growth. In being home like this and having 3 weeks to myself, it's like, oh my gosh, I've got 3 weeks of dealing with me.
Hey, I mean, that's real.
It is real. And I chuckled because I'm like, okay, well, I'm really like only half of me right now. Because, there's a lot of other things happening, right?
Right.
But I realized I could make it miserable or I could make it good.
Mm-hmm.
I could make it tolerable, or I could make it unbearable. And that had nothing to do with the way I felt physically.
You're so right. It's like the breathing thing. You made that a challenge. You said,
Yeah.
I'm insulted that this is the way it is, and I'm going to make sure it's not that way by the end of it. I
That's
love
exactly
that.
right. I still do it. In fact, it's
admire.
behind me on my, anyway, I'll turn my
Is it
chair
hard
over.
at all anymore now?
See, it's on the sides.
Yeah.
Well, it was a challenge. For those that are wondering what the heck that means, I hold my breath. So, and that's a lot of people that come from trauma have a tendency of shallow breathing when they're stressed. It's not good for you folks. You have to work against that. But I'm also a hyperactive soul, so I have a high pulse rate. But my oxygen levels were very low when I came out of surgery. And the anesthesiologist started basically getting on me. I liked her a lot. She got on me and she said, "This machine, you need to do better at it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's see." She goes, "You have to get to a certain level." And I brought it home, and you saw that because you were right there, and I was blowing, or breathing away from it, however they call that. And the thing wasn't rising very much. It was really ticking me off. But I knew I had authority over it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I have authority over everything that, I didn't have so much authority on my shoulder falling apart. I participated,
Right,
right? I
right.
was a participant in that, I guess.
Good point.
But,
Good point.
but so in that moment, I had a challenge. I could decide to blow her off. No big deal. Who cares? Leave me alone. Or I could find a change. I could see an improvement if I chose.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I could blow that damn thing all the way to the top now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. I think that's the way it's the market going down the mark. What we look at in a busy market. You could have looked at that and thought, "Oh my God, am I never going to breathe again? Like, is my mother and father going to take away from me the ability to have deep breath in my adulthood?" Like, there's so many ways my brain can go with, "What have you taken from me?"
Right.
But then it's like, all right. Or, like, I don't know. There's no good in that. There's nothing you can do about it. And there's no peace to be found there.
That's exactly right. And I'm going to tell you, that's real strange. And for those that are listening to this, since I've been more home, now I am back to work. I told Brian the other day, I said, "Oh my God, I just had an epiphany. Oh my God, I have no more free time."
What did he say?
And he said, "You made that happen, remember?"
Yeah, yeah.
And he did. He said, "You made that happen." He said, "That was your responsibility to play that the way you needed to."
Your
And
participation.
I did. I ran out of my time. I went back to work. Could I have stayed off a little longer? Yeah, probably should have, but I didn't. But nevertheless, it was a choice that I
Yeah.
had. It was an epiphany that I needed to make to go back to work. But it was interesting because during the time that I was home recovering and trying to find ways to fill all those hours,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to sleep when you're in pain too.
Yeah.
And those little jelly beans I was given, which I love, we'll call them jelly beans. They work, but they make you a little weird.
Yep.
So I didn't want to take them all the time. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, I started watching, and for those out there, you can judge me if you like, but I started watching Bar Rescue.
Cool.
And I did it for one reason, and I explained that to my, to Taylor and to Brian. I said, the reason why I started watching this, one, it's entertaining for me. I think it's fun. I always wanted a restaurant. I used to manage restaurants, so I have a good.
Didn't know you wanted a restaurant.
Always wanted a restaurant.
Oh, fun.
And I was in restaurant management for a very long time, and so before I found my true calling, so I was in restaurant and medical and here. And so what I realized, the reason why I needed to watch it because I need to see how bad things work out. How something that feels like you're flat in the ditch and it's unrecoverable, how it can work out. Now, whether it's all fantasy and fairy tale land, some of it is, I'm sure. Some of it's not, because I've actually seen some of the places that have been recreated.
Wow.
There's 3 of them locally, so it's pretty cool. But my point is, what I did is I asked myself, I asked my higher self, I asked my team, help me find an outlet where I can see that in my day-to-day, there's still hope. Not that
Love that.
Yeah, and it worked. Not that I wasn't going, "Oh, I'm never going to get well." I did a little bit of that, but
Of course.
especially when I started hobbling around.
Well, you're a hyper independent person and you didn't have that.
Right. And I'm having to wait for people to come into the room so I can ask them to get me a glass of water, for a while.
Yeah.
But my point of all of that really.
I'd rather die of thirst.
Yes, that's kind of what it would be like. But what I recognize more than anything, let me turn this phone off, is that we have it within us. Sometimes we have to reach out to others to get it, right? Sometimes we have to ask for help. But we have it within us to recreate. Now, it doesn't mean that I could shut off my pain. I could I could have done other things that probably I'd be still fighting with now, if I was too heavily into masking pain. But I didn't choose that. I didn't do that. But what I recognized, and it helped to motivate me, is that, we have to live in the moment. And it may suck. Our moment may be the worst doggone moment of all, but we have to be present. We have to realize that this moment is going to be fleeting, even though it seems like it's forever. And I've got to take something from this moment forward that's going to help me in the rest of the days that I have ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Because the
Otherwise, it's
circumstance isn't changing.
yes. It's the old-fashioned expression of when you're given lemons, make lemonade,
Mm-hmm.
or bring them to channeling class and cut them up in 5 slices and put them in
Right.
whatever you got to do.
Whatever you got to do.
But my point is, and I truly feel this and I practice this, and that's why I did that. I watched Bar Rescue because I needed to know. Again, I reiterate to me that things that can go wrong, there's always going to be something going wrong. You know, I mean, we see it every day, right? We go outside and we have a flat tire and we've got to be somewhere in 20 minutes. We have life experiences, but we always need something that's going to calibrate us to the point that we know that it's going to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
It's that hope factor.
It's hope.
Hope and faith.
And hope and faith. And when those two things are not present, we stay in the ditch. Okay?
And that it's just darker. The worldview is just darker.
It's very dark. Yes. And, you know, and again, I know it's a TV show. I know, I mean,
I love that.
but I'm going to tell you, and again, I don't follow anybody when it comes to, I'm not a, you know, I don't look for movie stars. I don't need autographs. I'm not that person for whatever reason. But the John who runs this, I watch his eyes and I watch his way, and he could be a real foul mouth, which is funny to me. I'm kind of like,
Yes.
whatever.
Same.
But the sincerity and the understanding that things can improve was sometimes with a helping hand.
Well, you watched that show like you would take a prescribed medicine. I love that. Because now how conscious were you when did you pick it at random and then it made sense why you watched it, or did you say, no, I need this feeling?
No, actually, I picked it at random.
That's right. I love, see, that's crazy. I love that.
Because we know intuitively the direction that we need to be in. Sometimes we don't always get the message clearly, but we do get the message.
Yes.
And one thing I want to shout out to all my people, all our people, all the people we know that have chronic illness or chronic pain. If there's one thing I learned, and I truly mean this, I get you better. Not that my pain is going to be chronic. Hopefully not. It could. I don't know. But I know, and I'm not dismissing the value of your chronic illness. I'm simply saying I get you. I understand you, feel you. And there is nothing more debilitating than feeling. And so for all, and I have it's making me emotional. I have dear clients that suffer all the time. And if it's one thing I got, was it more deep awareness and compassion. There are so many people out there that have struggles with their muscles, their backs, their joints, their arms, their head. I've got people with brain cancer. I've got tumors, people with tumors. I feel you. I don't want to live in that world because otherwise I'd be crying all the time, right?
Right.
But you're real. And I want you to know that.
Well, and it's in our energy. You and I, we have very strong personalities, and we have very much like, you can just bust through the wall. Why aren't you? Sometimes. And I think like,
Yep.
I'm so glad that your recovery has been uncomplicated to a degree, from the perspective of my biggest fear after all that was over was like, what if the surgery didn't, and so even just seeing you moving your hand makes me so happy.
We go through life experiences and they're not always going to be, puppy dogs and kitty cats, right? They're going to be rough patches. And I didn't want to go through this rough patch. I waited 5 years to go through it. But sometimes we don't even have that luxury. Sometimes we're in a situation where we got to go get it done and go get it healed and go get it handled.
Mm-hmm.
But my dear, it is such an important thing to always remember that there are those that have chronic pain every day of the week and they live with it. I was with one yesterday, one of my dearest clients, very much. I had one the day before that. Their way of life is challenged. They try hard to stay positive, but their way of life is challenged. And it's so easy. And the reason why I also want, not just for those to give a shout out to say, I'm on your side for the chronic illnesses, but for the loved ones that are around the people with the chronic illnesses. Don't give up on them. They're real. They don't know how to be better. They don't know how to manage it. And I know sometimes it becomes very nonplussed to some of their family members. I hear that. Everyone's given up on me because I think I'm imagining it or I'm making it up. And that is also a subset of what I have in my business world, are those individuals dealing with crises that are long term that they can't seem to step away from, physical crises. I just wanted to give you a shout out. I believe in you and I feel for you.
I think that's very beautiful, and I'm grateful that you were able to maintain, honestly, like a very, very high vibration through something that's just horrible. There's just no fun about any of it. And the reliance on others, the feeling of it. I'm very grateful.
The rat's nest.
The rat's nest and all, man. It's all there.
It's all getting better.
But you're not going to overdo it this week, right?
No, I'm going to definitely overdo it.
Yeah, for sure. We already know.
I have a big event this weekend, and I have a
You said 80-hour work week
tomorrow.
I'm back.
I'm back. I've got a long day today, 10-hour day tomorrow, and then I've got other clients for the rest of the week. This weekend's going to kick my hiney. Come see me at the Wellness Expo.
I was going to say, plug, what's your classes this week? What do you do? What are you up to?
This week I have Tuesday at the center. It's going to be the Circles of Light. It's a mediumship.
I'm going to be there.
Excellent. I'm planning on being there too. That's a great thing.
I'll see you there.
I'll send you a cheer.
Look at us.
And
what time is it?
It is at 7:00.
Okay, cool.
And I'm really excited about it. I've been doing, I call it pressure tests. I'm saying that lovingly. That's kind of the term that I heard on my new favorite show.
I love that you watched that.
It's just, again, it's hope. It's about hope. I don't look at it as being entertainment. I look for the deeper messages. Even it's entertaining too. Don't get me wrong. I've been
right. Well, it makes me want to. I mean, that's my life right now.
It's good stuff.
So I love that you watch that. That's fun.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But the class tomorrow night is going to be exciting. I'm very thrilled about it. My classes are resuming as far as my psychic development classes. I'm going to be doing that for a while more. I also want to say for anyone, and I'm going to put it on my website, so you have this as well. Yes, I'm looking for a new office. I will be finding a new office. Don't worry, I'm not disappearing. I'm not gone. I'm going to still resume classes. We may just be having them in a different place than you're familiar with. My role is to make sure that I keep moving forward. Always. And when I'm moving forward, hopefully you're coming along with me.
Always.
Let's just, let's just kind of look for the sunshine. Let's look for the opportunity. I'll keep you posted. It'll be on the website. Plus a lot of you, I'll give you a shout out here, and I'll give you a shout out when I'm seeing you. But don't worry. Things are all going to normalize wherever that office is.
Yes.
By probably about July.
And then you have the Wellness Expo.
Yes.
Saturday and Sunday.
That's right. See, I'm a little scattered with that.
No, you're good.
I had lost my train of thought. Oh,
you're perfect.
Look at those jelly beans.
You're busy. Listen, you got a lot going on.
I don't have my paper calendar in front of me. But this weekend,
it's at the office.
Saturday, I have a class on basically if the world is made of quartz. It's not a class. It's a 20-minute, 25-minute talk. It's about finding your groove, finding your 10 minutes, finding your 5 minutes even. It's meant to enhance and to provoke you to think better, think more enthusiastically. You have homework. You all have to wave at least 5 people to say hello to them before you leave, 5 strangers. So again, it's fun. We do a lot of fun things. And then I do full readings. If you need a reading, I have some openings Saturdays and Sundays. Come get me while I'm cheap.
Exactly.
It's $35 for 25 minutes. I raised my price because I've been busy.
Inflation.
I needed to by $5. But come see me. And then I do a gallery at the end of Sunday night so you can speak to your loved ones. So that's what I'm all about.
Yay.
So
what excited. A great week, man. A busy, but great week.
It's a busy week. It's a great week.
Well, perfect. And then we'll be back again next week. And then I have the Wednesday class, the Dark Nights of the Soul Anonymous, 7 to 9 at Miracles of Joy in Bedford. And you're in Intelekia, right?
Yes.
In Richardson.
Very good. And you're this Wednesday in Bedford.
But yeah, I'll be here this Wednesday at Bedford. And then you're Wellness Expo for anyone who's wanting to go. It is going to be in that like $10 entry or $5 entry. It's something.
Believe it's like, I don't know.
It's
I
low.
thought it was like a $7 entry. No,
It's
I'm
like
really
7. Yeah, it's really low.
okay,
And then, but it's at the Grapevine Convention Center
yes.
on Main Street. So yay!
Looking forward to seeing everyone.
We got a good week, and I'm so happy I got to talk to you. I'm so happy you're back on the podcast. everything's back.
Me too. Next time I promise you I'll wash my hair, get the rat dust out, and we'll be ready to rock.
Well, that's what we need. We don't need your wisdom or your love. We need your hair washed.
Well, that's what I was thinking too, At least that's what my husband keeps telling me. So we'll see.
Well, I love you to pieces.
I love you to pieces too, my dear. And for everyone out there, stay strong, stay beautiful, stay happy.
And participate.
And participate.
It
Can't
could be
raise
fun.
the bar unless you're participating in it. Thank you.
I love you. We'll talk next week. Oh,
yes,
no, I'll see you at your class tomorrow.
Yes, and there goes the other cam too.
Yes, hell yeah. Look at that. Yay. We're on the mend. I love you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.